Hi, I'm John Kursky, and in part 4 of making you an AI-enabled Power BI developer, we're going to look at the different type of agents you can use in GitHub Copilot. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so you can stay up to date on all the content and features we'll be rolling out in the coming weeks. And with that, in part 3 of our series, we went into using the Power BI modeling MCP along with a deeper dive into GitHub Copilot. Now in this video, I want to show you the different type of agents you can use to help parallelize your work and maybe focus on more direct tasks while you can delegate other tasks to GitHub Copilot and save you some time. Now, up on the screen here, we're going to continue in Visual Studio Code. Now, notice in the bottom left-hand side, let me zoom in, we have the Kursky branch. This is the branch we are going to work in. And I've already connected to the sample model that we had up in our last video, and I'm in agent mode. Now, let's say I want to continue to do some work on this model, maybe get some information about the DAX measures, but what I'd really like to do is maybe delegate some work to generate some documentation. Now, in GitHub Copilot, you have the ability to use at least 3 different agents. As I film this in January 2026, you have your regular agent that we've been using in the prior videos. You have a background agent in which you can run stuff in the background of your machine. And then I'll show you a little later a cloud agent. Since we're already using GitHub to store versions of our Power BI model, we can actually delegate work to the cloud to do some additional tasks while we're working locally. So let's say I want to do some documentation, and I really don't like at least starting from scratch with the documentation, and I want to move that work to the agent to do that. But I want to continue to do the work that I need to get done while something can happen in the background. Well, I don't have to wait for the agent to do it in the main interface. I can actually delegate that work in the background. So let me show you how you can do that. So I'm going to copy a statement here. So notice I'm in agent mode, and I have added this tag. This is telling GitHub Copilot, I want to delegate this work to a background agent. And more specifically, I want to delegate generating Markdown documentation. Now, I took this prompt from the Power BI modeling MCP and tweaked it a little bit. I'll put it in the description for the YouTube presentation so you can copy. If I have that @CLI delegate, I can actually kick off a background agent. So let's go ahead and do that. Now you'll notice that it has now said, hey, background agent, and it's going to create a branch. So the nice thing is because I am using Git and I want to make sure that I'm doing this safely, it is going to do the work, but do it in a separate branch on my local Git, so that I can look at later and integrate into the current branch that I'm working in. And I'll show you that once it completes. Now, one of the things you can do is as you are using other agents, you can leverage the sessions feature to kind of keep track of all the different delegated tasks that you've been doing. So up at the top right here on the screen, there is a Show Agent Sessions bar. And if I expand, you can see I've got this Generate Markdown button. And it's actually working as a background agent. You can see how long it's been working as well as what type it is. It's a background agent. Now, I've got this screen here. I can say, you know what? I want to connect to my sample model, and I want to maybe do some additional work while this background agent is executing. So you'll see on the screen here, I've just connected to the Power BI desktop instance, which I already have up, And maybe as I'm working with this, I'm just going to say describe the measures in this model, just to show you there's some additional work that can be done while the background agent is executing. Now, I'm going to fast forward this video so that when the background agent completes, we can show you what that interface is like and how we can integrate the documentation back into our current branch. Okay, so fast forward to the video. The background job has completed. I can actually see that. Now there's a file that has changed. If I look up top right here, if I click here, you'll see there's a description of everything that was completed. It analyzed the model, and it has also identified the changes. Now, there is the file change that I can click on. I can either keep or undo. If I click on it, notice on the bottom left, instead of it being on the Kursky branch, it has now switched to the other branch. This is important because now I've actually switched context of what branch I'm working on. And let's say I like this documentation, and I'm going to use the preview feature that I've added here if you want to see what the documentation looks like. You can see it added the mermaid diagram, and yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that for a start. Now I can keep that, hit the keep button, and now if I hit apply, this is going to try to merge it back into my Kursky branch. So if I hit apply, you'll see that if I go to the source control button, and it has now changed context back to Kursky Plus, and I'm going to say updated documentation. Remember, you always want to put a message in here so you don't have that commit button hanging. And I'm going to hit commit and sync. And now if I was to go to the Kursky branch up in the cloud, you'll see the documentation has now been integrated as well. So that's a nice feature from the background agent. Let's take a look at a different type of agent, a cloud agent. Now, I can also, because I have this information in GitHub, I can delegate it to a cloud agent. Now, the way you do that is if you go up to this plus button, and I go to cloud, I'm going to click new chat. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to click new cloud agent. That's better. Now you'll notice it says cloud agent, delegate tasks to the cloud. I can paste in a command or a prompt. And in this case, what I wanted to do is, as I'm working here, maybe I want to delegate some work. It's like, could you just format the DAX, maybe add some comments to the Power Query, and I'm going to use a prompt I used in a prior part in this series. I'll include it in the description in YouTube as well. But I want to delegate that work to the cloud so that I can continue doing stuff, and the documentation and the updated commenting can be handled in another branch. So when I hit the send, what it's going to do is actually create a cloud agent to do that. Now, this is a feature you will need a premium version of GitHub Copilot to do this, whereas that background agent that I showed you, you can kind of do with the free version, my understanding. Cloud agents are a really nice feature to kind of parallelize your work. Now, you'll notice that it also said a work in progress at this point. I can go back to my other session here and continue my work. Now, in the cloud, if I go to agents, you'll see there's a work in progress. This has now created a branch off of my Kursky branch and has started working through the prompts. Now, if I click here, you can actually keep track of how the work is going. And when it's completed, you will get a pull request to merge those changes. Now, in the interest of time, I've already created one before just to see, show you what exactly it did. You actually can look at all the changes here. You can view the pull request. And somewhere in here, you can actually see what your original prompt is. So maybe you liked that prompt and you want to reuse this for other cloud agents. You can copy it from here. But what's really nice is then I can actually merge these changes using the view the pull request. I can merge these changes back into the branch that I was working off of. And I've delegated that work to the cloud. So stuff like documentation, maybe some code reviews, looking for specific instances of things and providing some course corrections. These all can be handled by background agents or cloud agents. And you can focus on maybe that work that you need to have a little more brain power on and move some of those other tasks, at least to start with, and delegate that work, and you can come back and review it and make tweaks as needed. And because it is all in branches, you have source control. So if there's any issues with the content that's been changed, you can either roll it back or you can take the merge request and just close the merge pull request and not work with it. That's the power of having it in source control. You can delegate that work with AI, but be assured that you can always roll back or course correct if AI doesn't act the way you want it to with your model, or it creates errors in your model. All right, so I hope you learned something today. In this episode, I went through how to use the background agents and the cloud agents to help parallelize the work you do with Power BI. And in our next episode, I'm going to introduce you to the Power Query Lint MCP server so that you can automatically prompt the agent and have it tell you issues with your Power Query. So until then, I appreciate your time and take care.